What's up, guys? Welcome back to Dead Malls, and welcome to Season 4. I'm so glad to have all of you joining me today as we make this road trip across the Midwest, visiting as many malls as possible. So, how this will work is each episode will be split into one of the 5 days of the trip, as we make our way around my route and visit each mall. To start us off, we'll be taking a look at Moline, Illinois' Southpark Mall. Originally covered here way back in Season 1, quite a lot has changed in 2 years, and this mall is not the place it once was. Back then, Southpark, even post-COVID, was doing okay. I remember there being quite a few stores in the old Yonkers wing and many mall walkers. Coming back years later, however, this mall is very empty. Almost every store in the old Yonkers wing is left, and really, when you look at it, it's the anchors keeping this place together. With a rich history and vibrant community, Southpark is a fascinating case of the classic American mall formula and how it fell off. So yeah, let's head in and take a look at Southpark Mall in Moline, Illinois, and how it's doing in May of 2022. When you first walk into Southpark, your eyes are just pulled up at the ceilings. Those retro shapes, giant high round curves following the hallways like snakes. We'll get into the ceilings more later, but just keep them in mind as we walk through. Southpark Mall's story begins in 1966, when 47 acres of land were purchased by General Growth Properties for $12 million. The mall would be the sister mall to the Northpark Mall, which opened in Davenport a few miles north in 1965. Throughout the rest of the 60s, nearly 75,000 tons of dirt were shaved off of a small hill in the city known as Horse Hill, and hauled to the mall site where construction would begin on the 500,000 square foot center. On February 27, 1974, Southpark Mall would hold its grand opening, with doors opening to eager shoppers ready to explore the center. The mall was designed in a large hallway format, featuring courts for its 3 anchors, very similar to the layout of its sister Northpark. Montgomery Ward, Peterson Harn Von Maur, and Yonkers would open as the mall's major 3 anchors, along with junior anchor Walgreens and over 80 inline tenants. The mall was instantly a massive success for Moline and the Quad Cities in general. Soon retail developments would sprout up all around the mall, and restaurants would be constructed along its parking lots. Each day, thousands of people would come and go through the mall's corridor, decked with skylights, greenery, and fountains. The centerpiece was near the Yonkers entrance, a massive copper fountain consisting of 3 towers which would catch cascading water, and be set in motion creating musical tones and notes. These tunes, along with the radio, would fill the halls and keep shoppers company as they explored Southpark's magical sunlit atmosphere. This has got to be the first mall I've been to with a full kitchen. A full kitchen just stuck in the back here. This whole mini wing is just super dead. an arcade, and a children's play area, which you can tell are not original, either of them. This wing used to lead to the food court in Sears, but now all of that is gone. We'll get to that later, though. Just 4 years after opening, the mall would receive its first addition, a huge westward expansion adding 15 inline tenants and the mall's fourth anchor, JCPenney. The new addition brought about several new features, like a makeshift food court, which featured several restaurants along a new wide corridor. Bennett J. Wool, the project manager and supervisor of the mall at the time, stated to the Davenport Times, "The entire complex generates freshness and contemporary living. Each store has its flair of individuality within the center, yet they all seem to tie together harmoniously. The mall would continue to thrive, now with 4 major anchors, almost 100 inline tenants, and a thriving and expanding retail grasp. It would prosper into the 80s, and talks of another expansion would begin to materialize." In 1990, the mall's final expansion would open to the public, a huge 234,000 square foot addition, adding several new stores, a giant neon-domed food court, and the mall's fifth anchor, Sears. General Growth would invest millions to update the aging mall, removing all the fountains and the planters, and adding red neons throughout, slapping on a coat of white paint to go along with the renovation. Now with 180 inline tenants, a fully functional food court known as the Food Fair, and 5 big box anchors being Von Maur, Yonkers, Montgomery Ward, JCPenney, and Sears, the early 90s was the peak of Southpark Mall. But change was just around the corner, and the mall's downfall was soon at hand. Once again, just gawking at those ceilings, and just by looking at them you can tell that they never changed, with those high windows being straight from 1974. Easily one of South Park's best features, and really just this whole mall radiates a calm and welcoming atmosphere despite being completely dead. The first bad news for the mall came in January of 2001, when Montgomery Wards announced that they would be leaving South Park, and the quads in general, closing both their Park Mall locations by spring of 2001. As the 2000s began, South Park's flaws were starting to seem through the cracks. The overly massive mall was starting to find it difficult to fill the 180 stores, especially near Sears and the old wards, which sat vacant for several years. In 2003, junior anchor Walgreens would close their location, relocating down the road, with Dillard's opening in the old wards a year later after a massive store renovation. As the recession came and went, it swept through South Park like a tornado, taking several national chain retailers with it. The food court was especially barren as the 2010s began. Nearly every food stall was vacant and all of the chairs were removed. Walking down towards Von Mar here, we can get a look at how South Park deals with its problems. Walls and curtains. Nothing new, of course, but advertising, much better things to do than shop at South Park any day. At some point in the early 2010s, the mall would be sold to the Macerich Company, with General Growth apparently already fearing what they had created. In mid-October of 2013, Sears would close their doors after just 23 years at the mall. South Park in 2013 was a barren, desolate place, with tired old brands, mom-and-pop shops, and the Sears and Food Court edition being almost completely empty, with almost every tenant leaving for the more popular North Park. That September, City Council would approve the redevelopment put forward by Macerich to completely demolish the 1990 edition and to renovate the mall to bring it up to a modern standard. This gigantic addition from the 90s was seemingly too much for the mall to handle, and the total store count would be brought back down to around 100. Renovations in the mall would complete in late 2014, bringing it to how it looks today. In December, Dillard's would become a clearance center, and throughout 2015, Macerich would complete the mall's renovations, adding junior anchor Dick's Sporting Goods and working to revamp the aging parking lots and mall exterior. However, all of these renovations and additions would not be enough, as the mall would continue to lose stores. In April of 2018, Yonkers would announce closure of their store and would be gone by August of that same year. Also in August, several old empty spaces near Dillard's clearance would be demolished for a massive Ashley Home store. When I made my first video in late 2020 on South Park, the mall was empty. With really no shoppers and only mall walkers, it was depressing. And today in 2022, it's even worse. There are maybe 20 stores left out of the once 80 or so that operated here, and before that 180. It's still hard for me to wrap my mind around how big this place once used to be. It truly was the case of an American mall that was built just right for its area, expanded too far to be sustainable, and then demolished everything after just 20 years. And now we're left with South Park's layout pre-1990. Macerich has tried to save it from General Growth's mismanagement, but the coffin was already sealed by the early 2010s. South Park is doomed, and it would truly take a miracle to bring this once grand giant back to life. I really do hope South Park is given another chance. I hope it's revitalized somehow to bring it back to its golden days, even though I sadly find that unlikely. The future is uncertain here. Like I said at the beginning, it's really just the anchors holding this place together. I feel like JCPenney or Dillard's Clearance will be the next to leave, and I don't see Von Maur closing, as that whole company is doing well in general, but once the others leave, probably within the next 5 years, South Park will most likely be demolished. Guys, I want to thank you for watching today's episode, and the first of our adventure known as Season 4. If you guys are ever in the area, stop by Southpark Mall and support some of these local businesses, or just get lost in those massive ceiling shapes. If you guys enjoy my Dead Mall content, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on future Dead Malls episodes. And make sure to head over to the Patreon to support me, and I'll send you a monthly Dead Mall Polaroid taken and signed by me. This upcoming Saturday, we'll be heading south to a small town to take a look at their abandoned mall. Guess correctly which one it is, and I'll shout you out in the next video. In the final moments here, I want to read off a post written to me by a Moline native about South Park and its rich history, a mall the community cherished. Thank you, E.A. Hernandez. Until next time, have yourselves a lovely 4th of July, and peace out, guys. See you later. 1974 was a weird year. February was cold and snowy. Moline, Illinois was staggering through the aftermath of the 1973 oil crisis. That year, Nixon resigned. There was a recession the world over, which was really not helped when President Ford pardoned Nixon. That year, Louis Leakey discovered Lucy in Africa. Theaters were bursting with movies like Young Frankenstein, Zardoz, Blazing Saddles, and Towering Inferno. Radios blared the night Chicago died, Billy Don't Be a Hero, and Then Came You. Vietnam was still a year away from the end of the war. TV kept us at home with shows like The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Maude, and The Waltons. America was staggered by inventions such as the mobile phone, post-it notes, the Rubik's Cube, and a new life-saving move called the Heimlich maneuver. We were struggling with new colors such as bright orange and avocado green, while fighting with that fairly new invention, the microwave oven. In Moline, we had the typical small-town stores, Turnstile and Kmart, while Sears and JCPenney sat idling in the slowing downtown business district. The only places that were still alive and well were the tiny neighborhood shops and candy stores. Some neighborhoods didn't have any stores, and in Moline that was considered a bit weird. Then, the mall opened that February. I don't have to describe it too sharply, but I have already described it in general. It was almost an enclosed city. Trees and boulevards, park-like arrangements with benches, restaurants and snack stores, clothes and luxury items, video arcades, more stores and stuff than you could shake a stick at. Hell, it had air conditioning, and a healthy dose of really cool stores and restaurants ringing the outer parking lots. It was luxurious, but a homey kind of luxurious. A wonderful, welcoming atmosphere with a simultaneously ultra-cool 21st century look to it. It had a conversation pit complete with a full aquarium. Our old-time stores eventually moved there, Sears and JCPenney certainly, but the stores that were built along with it. It had a massive Walgreens that was longer than a city block from front to back. How many of us had ever heard or seen an Adam's Apple clothing store, an Aladdin's Castle, a Spencer's Gifts, a Crazy Top music shop, Music Den, Ups and Downs, Chess King? How many people had ever seen gleefully dancing and spraying indoor fountains? We could get lost in that mall all weekend, and we often did. I always took my Chicago cousins because they had never seen anything like it, and decreed that they didn't have one. Southpark Mall was more than a home away from home. Say the word South Park around here and it is home. Today, it's a literal ghost town. It's almost 50 years old and it's been blitzed, remodeled, rebuilt, and remanaged to death. Each and every single one of us has watched the entire lifespan of that home, and we are simply watching it vanish. It did not truly get a fair run because a decent home doesn't just disappear inside of 5 decades. Today, next to no one is there, and no one has a reason to be. This is the place that still says home to so many, yet it's been killed. It no longer exists. It is dead.